just give me a minute. Yes, so welcome you all to today's workshop, that is Mastering Detailed Design with Revit. Now, my name is Prakriti Goyal and I'm working in Capricorn as BIM Specialist Architecture. Now, so let's start first about I'll be discussing about the Capricorn, our team, our Capricorn. So, right, so first of all, our motto, we help our clients to help unleash the ideas for a better future, right? We are since 1987, 20,000 plus customers. Now as a Win Zero and then Arcans Group. So we are actually a sustainability focused digitalization partner. And as in global service partners, we actually have the 50 plus offices around the world, right? So we are actually we have the solution professionals like 13,000 plus and managing like 400,000 users license, right? So now I'll call upon from the Ethos group. So we have Kanchana Naik, so over to you.
Hi everyone. I'll now share my screen. Hi, welcome to the workshop. And I'll be going through a basic introduction about the Designaddvance competition. The theme this year for the competition is reimagining railway stations as urban nodes. We'll go into detail about the theme, about the brief for the competition and some of the submission requirements and a few frequently asked questions. So what we usually think of railway stations and what we're familiar with is thinking of the railway stations as transit hubs where we often come to board or deboard from trains and just to get from a point A to point B. But what if these railway stations, which are often a place where people from faraway places come and they're often places of prominence in a city, what if they become centers of activities that a city dweller in that particular town or city could be proud of? What if they become places where people could come to work or learn or play and heal, or maybe even just connect with other people and rejuvenate themselves? So there are basically three parts to this theme. The first is imagining the railway stations beyond being just transit hubs and more as nodes of urban activities, which we just discussed about. The second part to it, or the second layer to it, is filling the gaps in that particular town's life with facilities such as education, healthcare, workspaces, hotels, leisure and entertainment, commercial developments, and any other functions that you think that could be relevant for that particular city or that particular corner of the city, even in case it's a bigger city. The next layer would be how to go about improving the user experience when people come and interact with the built environment, and the overall wayfinding and ease of entry and exit and layover and placemaking at the place, which elevates the experience for the passengers or the users of the place. How do we go about enhancing the user's experience is we make wayfinding easier for them. We give them activities to look forward to when they are laying over for catching another train, or maybe waiting for their other means of transport or transferring. What do we do about that? How to regulate the pedestrian and vehicular traffic through the complex or the compound. How do we think about the user behavior in public spaces? For example, cleanliness is a major concern, and how can we encourage good behavior through the design, and how can we contribute to the safety and placemaking of the site through design and through our proposal? And how do we think about the variety of user groups that will be using these services and these built environments? The next part about the brief or the design problem would be embracing the local heritage, the architectural identity, and the vernacular building practices that are followed in that in a particular area wherever you have chosen your site. And obviously, we have to encourage sustainable choices by users as well as in the design of the place. So how do we encourage sustainable choices by users? It's through promoting walkability and net zero cycles for energy and water. We prevent wastage, and we try to manage waste efficiently, and so on. There is also a freedom to define your own program and functions with this brief. So depending on the site you choose, whether it's a city that you live in or some other site that you really want to design for, the choice is yours. You are free to develop your own brief and functions and program, and you are free to allot the area requirements according to your site. And it should go without saying that the design should be accessible and inclusive for all people. How do you go about selecting your site? You can approach it two ways. You can either take up a site in any of the X, Y, or Z cities, which is basically just a classification of cities in India according to the RLDA scheme. So on the RLDA website, there is a list of cities on which either the construction is already going on and the design development is already going on, or it is being planned. So you can see and check whether there is a city nearby or something where you really want to pick a site, whether it's on the list. And if it's not there, if you want to propose a reimagination of a railway station at a site which is not in the list, you can do so, but you will have to justify why is it feasible or why is it required there. The total site area should be 1 to 4 acres, or it could be greater, given that many bigger cities have larger railway stations, and including the whole railway station might not be possible within 4 acres. So if you can justify a larger site area, that's also okay, but try not to go beyond 12 acres. You should follow the locally applicable bylaws. Again, these are going to be site specific, or in case there are no locally applicable bylaws available to you, you should follow the National Building Code in their absence. You can also refer to the Manual for Standards and Specifications of Railway Stations, Volume 1 and Volume 2, when you're designing parts of the railway station. Here are some frequently asked questions that we get about the competition. We'll quickly go through them. Is there any registration fee for the competition and the workshops? So as you've registered for this workshop, you may know that the workshops are absolutely free, and as is the competition, there is no registration fee at all. Can postgraduate students take part? Yes, postgraduate students, undergraduate students of architecture, design, civil engineering, and any related fields or adjacent fields can take part in this competition. Can the team members be from different colleges? Yes, inter-college teams and inter-batch teams are also allowed. And you can also make interdisciplinary teams. For example, if one of the members is from an architecture course and the other two are from civil engineering, that is also allowed. Just make sure that within your team, one of the members is an architecture student. That's all. Can we define our area programs? Yes, you can choose the functions as well as the distribution of the space allotted to each function as per your site requirements and as per your context, whatever it demands. In absence of local bylaws, you are supposed to follow the National Building Code. We've already discussed this. Where will the workshops be announced? So you will be notified via email after registration for Designaddvance competition. So basically what you have to do is visit the website for registering for Designaddvance competition. And once you register for the competition, you'll automatically be notified of any upcoming workshops regularly whenever they are being held. Can you choose a site on your own? Yes, you can choose a site on your own, and just that you'll need to justify it if it's not on the RLDA list, which is given in the brief. Are there any more free workshops or design lectures coming up? Yes, please stay tuned. There might be more coming up and we'll be informing you of them if you're registered. Please follow us and stay tuned. So we know that the competition is open to all undergraduate and postgraduate students of architecture, planning, engineering, and design across the country and any of the related courses. And those who have graduated in 2023, like those who just finished their degree in any of these courses in 2023, they are also allowed to participate in the competition. Maximum 3 members can be in a single team. The registration deadline is 20th of October 2023, and the submission deadline is 27th of October 2023. For more details, you can visit the website www.designaddvance.in. You'll get all the details here, the list of sites that we've talked about, the registration link, everything you can find out here. And for any queries, you can reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Kanchan, about the describing the Designaddvance, right? So let's move on with the part like where we'll discuss about the mastering detailed design in Revit. So first of all, why Revit? Now that is the main question. Like for BIM workflow, like if I talk about the traditional workflow, right? So many people work in AutoCAD. So like let's say for traditional workflow they use different softwares, like one for 3D modeling, one for 2D drawing. So like if there's any change in plan section or any elevation, so they have to do the rework, right? So the rework is also increases, and again it makes the project delivery delayed, right? So that is why we actually go for the BIM workflow. Now what is like BIM workflow? So if I tell you, like you are developing one central model from which you are generating different documentations like presentation drawings, detailed drawings like GFCs, and you have all the like in like submission drawings as well, right? So those, if you are changing anything in maybe plan, in maybe section, and maybe 3D, it will be updated everywhere. Even the quantifications will be updated. So that is why we actually go for the BIM workflow. Now, why Revit? So mastering detailed design in Revit, why? So I'll share my screen. Right. So first of all, we will be discussing about the Revit overview. So guys, like if you have any questions, like just go for the Q&A chat box and provide the questions you want to ask, right? So yes, so let's go for Revit overview. Now, why Revit? So, as you all know, like multiple disciplines are involved to develop a single central, like single model, the as-built model, which will be used for the completion of the project, which will be used for the construction process, right? So, Revit actually helps you to give a coordinated well model in which all the disciplines are involved, right? And you can actually like compute each and every quantifications easily. So it will give you a clarity like how your project will be completed, right? How it will look when the project has been completed, right? So if I talk about who can work on it, so every discipline will be working on it to create a multidisciplinary model, like landscape architects or interior designers, structural consultants, electrical like MEP consultants. So every discipline, every person in different disciplines will be combining and creating a multidisciplinary model. Now how it works? So again, like as I discussed, like you are developing a central model, and from that all the different documentations are generating, like material takeoff, BOQs, lighting, like reflected ceiling plans, HVAC analysis, structure analysis. Even you can create different presentation drawings, architectural drawings, right? The working drawings, right? Now, if I talk about project life cycles, so conceptual design to field execution and the operation management. So over here, you are using Revit, like from conceptual design, like in you can start the concept from the format, and then, or you have like you can directly design any concept in Revit, and you can actually develop it, and you can generate out like the quantities, the detailed quantities out of that, right? So from till field execution, you will be using Revit. Now further, for clash detections or for managing the project, so maintenance of the project. So operations, for operations, we actually use for the Navisworks, right? Now, what type of projects it can handle? So you can actually go for like commercial build projects, residential projects, institutional projects, right? Infrastructural projects, right? And like metro projects, railway stations, right? Your urban design projects, right? Industry projects as well, right? So why do we use Revit now? uh, we actually have gone through like why Revit. Now, what are the benefits of Revit? Right. So first of all, it is actually a single coordinated model. As I told you, like you are generating a central 3D model, and from that, all the documentations will be generated, like plan sections, elevations, right? And those are of high quality. So uh, you are actually creating a single database, right? And then when once the project is completed with different disciplines involved, so you can actually create a clash detection reports, like where you have the clashes, like you can see over here, the duct is clashing between the like with the beams. So you can actually generate a report kind of thing, and you can assign it to whom you want, whom you want, that person can will be resolving that clash, right? So you can assign that clash to that person. Now the change management is important over here. Like, so I discussed about the traditional workflow, right? So all the rework needs to be done in the traditional workflow. But for the BIM, for the Revit, like if you have any changes in the plans, sections, elevations, so that changes will be updated automatically, and which helps you in minimizes the errors and omissions, right? Now the main thing, like for any model, we actually need walkthroughs. So walkthroughs, or maybe like different 3D views, perspective views, right? So those perspective views and walkthroughs are actually very easily we can actually generate from the 3D view that we develop in Revit. And with Revit 2024, you have the twin motion as well. So you will get high quality of rendering and right. Now the documentations that you will be getting is of the high quality. So if you are changing anything in plan or maybe in 3D model, it will be reflected everywhere. So this actually helps you to minimizes the cost of changes as well, right? And all the documentations you are getting is up to date and or are of higher qualities. You like now, for the development of the project, you need certain content components, right? So we have the extent, like when you install Revit, you will be getting extensive content library in terms of uh, like 3D elements, 3D uh, blocks. In Revit, we call them as families, components, right? In like if you are developing a residential building, so we have like shelves, different furnitures, right? So different doors, right? So we have an extensive content library for material as well. Now this is a foreign surface, so according to the Indian standards, they are yet they are developing, right? So for your standards, for your own standards, you can develop those 3D families easily, as well as material library. You can create them and share it with your different clients, right? Now the type of families, in Revit, we call them as families, the 3D components that we discussed. So those are actually loadable. Like you can, some of them can be loaded from your extensive content library, or can be created in Revit itself, right? And can be modified, like can be created unique. Like if you have a unique features like vertigo, or maybe like if you have any maybe uh, let's say any furnitures that are unique for a single project, right? You can develop that also, right? Now the families are actually divided into different hierarchy. So first of all, it is divided into disciplines, then your categories, families, and type. Now discipline means what? Like architectural discipline, structural discipline, MEP discipline. So they are having their own set of families. Like for architectural, we have walls, columns, doors, right? We have like architectural columns that like just like door recorder and all, right? So we have doors, windows as well. Now categories, like walls, windows, columns. So that is actually divided like that. And for walls, let's say you have for windows you have casement windows, fixed windows, right? Sliding windows. So these are your families. And then type can be the change of material, the change of sizes, like 1800 by 1200. So that is your type. So this is how you actually create your own families to develop your project. Now let's discuss about the workshop. So like let's go into the more detail, like how to start, how to create the detailed design in Revit. Now first of all, we need to choose the template that we will be working on. So the template is actually divided into discipline wise as well as unit wise. So if you're starting with the metric unit, so we can just go for metric architectural template. And to start the project, we need levels and grids for the development of for the providing the Revit elements that we discussed, right? So walls, columns, like walls, structural columns, structural beams, we all like to place them, we need actually levels. So over here, by default, you have two levels, which actually generates floor plans. So let's create them. So and then I'll create the level for the first floor. and the terrace. So as you can see, your plans are actually generating, right? After this, we will be placing all the grids, right? Okay. So let's go for the ground floor plan, and then we will be providing the structural like grids for the placement of the structural plans, right? Structural beams, structural columns, right? So first of all, you will be developing the like structural framework as well as the walls, right? So let's go for the grids. So I can just copy these grids according to the uh, like spacing that you want. So according to the spacing, you can provide them. So the vertical grids are completed. Now let's go for the horizontal grids. So I'll change the naming. So the naming actually is according to the sequence. So that is why we have to change like as per the direction of the grids, like horizontal or vertical, right? So now the grids are completed. For that, after that, we will be providing the structural columns and beams, right? So for that, I'll be using the specific tab, the specific discipline related families. So structure tab, structure panel, and the columns. So I can load them like I told you, like for developing the project, you need the specific families, right? So I can change their sizes as well. Right, so I'll change the sizes and then place it according to the height of the levels that we have created, the floor to floor height. So I need to mention out the like from where the like the columns are starting and until which level, right? So if my grids are at the intersection, so I'll just need to select all the grids that are developed over here, and then you can see automatically those columns will be placed. So by like right now, you can see that we are developing the structural, like the full model, and from that you are generating all the different documentation, like the flow plans, and if I cut a section, you will get that as well, right? So now let's go for beams and all, right? So I'll just need to change the height. So my columns will be starting from the NGL level. So that is why I can modify those heights as well. Now for the structure framing, the beams. So again, the specific category you have for the beams, that is structure framing. So I'll change the sizes as well. and then I'll place it according to the framing plans. Right? So I can align it according to the framing plans. Now it is like placing at which level. So it is actually placing at the NGA levels, right? So you can, if the framing is actually typical for like typical, so according to that you can just copy those and place it to different levels, that is assigned to selected levels, and then same you can go for ground floor, first floor, and then right. So because this is actually placing the floor beams, right? So that is why. So what I'll do, I'll just use these and go for the assigned selected levels, like copy them and place it to first floor, right? So it's like this, right? So after the placement, after the after you have created the structural, like the uh, framing plan, now what we need to do, we need to provide the like we need to go for the walls, right? So if you have the concrete walls, you can go for the structural walls. If you are going for the brick walls, you can go for the architecture walls. It is just like structure means you like where you have rebar, right? So that is like that. So let's go for architecture walls, and then I'll just change the type. So these families you are creating as per your project, right? So let's click on OK, and I'll change the thickness as well. Click on OK. And then I'll place the walls according to where I need them, right? So I'll place it over here. I'll specify the height. So it should be like from first floor, and the beam should be deducted, right? So minus 600. Right? So as you can see, we have like, if I go for the shaded, you can just see over here that we have provided the columns, the beams, and the walls, right? So the basic like part is done. So for that, like we have to go for like placement of like as well, like if I say the floors and all, right? So let's provide more beams. And then for placing all the like if you want to provide the structure slabs, structure RCC slabs, 150 slab, so you can do that as well, right? Right. So you can see like the structural framing part, the structural part is also done, and we can provide the walls in which we can go for placement of doors and windows. So like you can see over here, we have completed this part. Now it will be like this. So if I open it, so you can see in this project, like this is a school project. So you can see we have completed the structural part and placed all the walls, and how the doors and windows will be placed. So you just need to go for over here. We have architecture tab, build panel, doors, and then just like select the door type that you want from the loadable families, right? From here, you can choose any type of door because this is the institutional project. So according to that, you can develop your own, or otherwise you can select these, right? So I'll be using the flush door only. And then these are actually host based. So whenever you place on the walls, it will create the opening as it is, right? So these kind of families are available in Revit as well. Like you can use them or you can develop your own as per your requirements. So similarly, we have for the windows, right? So now you can see the full project as you see over here, that in this all the like all doors and windows have been provided, right? Now for detailed drawings, right? So one we need to provide for the like presentation drawings, right? So right, so for if I talk about the like, let's say, for creating different documentations, like your maybe presentation drawings, working drawings, and how to place them on sheets, right? So for that, we need model elements. Like for creating the presentation drawings, we need rooms, right? We need to define the spaces. Like right now we have created the model, but spaces are not defined. Like what, like if this is a school project, so what is like what space is defined as labs, or like we need to define it, right? So now what we need to do, we need to go for the placement of rooms, and these are actually 3D elements, right? So it actually gives you the volume as well as your areas, right? So like to create, to place the rooms, an enclosed space is necessary, right? So as you can see, it is taking all the rooms, right? So if you have like 100 of rooms, so manually increases time actually. So if you have enclosed spaces, you can actually place automatically these rooms, right? So first of all, you just need to go for upper limit to first floor, so that it will define the volume as well. This is important, right? So I'll go for placement, like I'll just click out over here and your room will be generated, right? As well as like if I go to place rooms like this, right? Now, what room will be defined as what, so that we can create colored plans like presentation drawings. So this will be, let's say, classrooms. Classroom one. So again, this will be classroom. So why I'm doing this? Because to create the presentation drawings, we are defining the spaces. And after that, we need to develop the like legends as well, right? So right, like this. So we will be defining the, right? Now, once this is done, we need to develop the colored plan. So if I'm done with this, so what I need to do, I need to go for property palette, where all the properties of the floor plans are there. To change the view, to change any element, you have certain properties over here. So to create the presentation drawing, we need to go for color scheme, that is none. And over here you have placed rooms. So according to the name that you have provided, it will change all the color schemes, right? You can change these color schemes, or you can provide the hatch patterns as well. That is all up to you. So if I click on apply and then okay, now you can see your full plan is changed, right? Full plan is actually colored plan. So by before this, like if you are providing the presentation drawings, it is preferable to go for duplicate view, so that you can create like just like for sheets, like one will be your working drawing, one will be your like presentation drawing. So we are actually like duplicating the original plans and renaming this as the presentation, and then we will be going for the color schemes, right? So let's provide tags wherever we want. So if you want to provide tags like for each and every room automatically, you can go for, right, tag or not tag. So over here you can see all the presentation drawing has been completed. But if you want to provide the like legends for it, so the presentation will look like this, right? So now how to, like, you can change their graphics, you can change their representations from over here. Like, so over here you can change their representations. Like, if you want to change the representations for plans which is visible in like in like for walls in plan view, how the walls have been visible, right? So for presentation, how it will visible, right? So if I want to change it, so as you can see, we have provided the presentation drawing. Now I need to provide the legends as well. So for that, I can do that as well from the annotate tab. So you can see, like, whichever naming you are providing, you are getting that in the room legend, right? So this actually helps you to give the detailed portion, detailed presentation drawing that is actually required for like project completion, right? So if you change the naming, it will reflect everywhere. It will reflect over the room quantifications as well, right? The room area, the room volume, the naming of the room will change, right? If you change the planning, like if you change any model elements, the space will also increase, right? The area will also increase. So everything is actually connected, right? Now if I want to develop the working drawings, so for that, for working drawings, again, I need to duplicate it, duplicate the original view. And then I need to name this as working drawing, right? And then first of all, I need to change its representation. So walls needs to be with the brick hatch, and columns needs to be having, needs to have the solid fill hatch for the concrete, right? So we can do the those representation, we can change these representations according to the project, right? So let's go for walls first. And then, because it is visible in a wall like plan as a cut, right? So I can change the brick pattern over here, right? And we can just change the structure columns to solid fill hatch because it is also visible in plan as a cut. So structure columns, solid black, or we can go for like gray color. That is all up to you. That is all like this is all up to your representation, how you want your presentations to be, right? So we can just, like, if we don't want the grids to be highlighted, so we can change those representations as well. So, right, as well as the sections, right? So now you can see the it is actually looking like we are creating the working drawings. We just need some dimensions, door window tags. Now let's provide that, right? So for providing the doors and tags, so over here we can just select different categories, like different categories of the tags, like doors, windows, right? Apply, and you can see door tags are also provided. And if I want to provide the dimension, the grid to grid dimensions, I can do that as well, right? I'm just selecting the continuous dimension over here. So you can see, like, we can go for edit witness line. So for controlling the dimensions, like this. and then the total dimensions. Now for working drawings, we need room tags as well. That also we can provide. We can modify these like the text size and all. These are actually families, 2D families. So you can actually edit them over here, right? And if you want to provide the areas as well, so I can just go for select all visible in instance, select all visible in view, right? So I can change it with the area, right, over here, right? So as you can see, each type of actually helps you to create this kind of working drawings, right? So as you can see how detailed working drawings will be created from the same central model. Like you are generating the central model, and from that you are generating the working drawings, right? Now for working drawings, after working drawings, one is the most important thing, that is schedules and quantities, right? How to generate doors and like doors and windows. If you want, if you have any doors and windows with you, like how to generate that schedule, right? So according to like type mark, right, according to the like D1 D2 for doors, right? So how we can actually generate the schedules, right? So we can do that as well from the schedule and quantities. We need to select the categories, let's say door schedules, right? So let's go for family type. The type mark that defines the uh, unique doors, like the, like we always mention D1 D2, D1 for flush door, D2 for like double panel doors, right? So these namings are actually important over here. And the sizes, right? So after that, we need to go for count, click on OK. And then we can organize these schedules as well. So this is actually like giving you each and every instance, like you can see over here. So we need to sort them as well, like according to the type mark, we need to sort. And right now it is giving me the actual, like each and every instance is getting calculated. So we can organize this as well. Like if you want to check how many doors are there, how many windows are there, right? So you can just sort them, right? You can go for grand total, click on OK. So you can see the type mark, as you can see, like it is actually calculated like according to the organized according to the type, like type mark, like in the ascending order. So if I go for itemize every instance, check off, like you can see it is giving me the total quantity, right? Now if I change any information over here, right? So let's sort according to the levels as well. So to understand like in which floor we have how many doors, right, according to the, so what we can do, we can go for like the headings as well. This will be level, this will be 10, so we can provide headings as well. So it's like that, it is actually grouped. Now it, if I change any information over here, let's say D4, it will be reflected everywhere, even in your 3D sections, elevations, everywhere it will be reflected. So if I go to the working drawings, we have, so wherever we need to, like wherever this D4 is actually provided, so it will be updated. So if I go to highlight in the model, so you can see this is actually the tag also has been updated. So everything is actually connected, right? So you can actually generate multiple of documentations, multiple quantities. These are actually of high quality quantification. So if I show you in the final project, so this is the final project which will be like, which is actually created with the site. So if I open this main site and like main uh 3D view, that is the main building, I'll show you how many like quantifications have been created over here. So as you can see, so we can create beam schedules, We can create from door window schedules, close schedules, right? So all these are actually high quality, like exact approximately approximate automated quantities, right? So if you change anything, it will be reflected everywhere, right? Now for these to place in the sheets are the major thing, like sheets will be printed, right? So what we can do, we can go for over here in the sheet tab, project browser sheet, and then we can go for new sheet. According to the sizes you can change, right? You can create your own title blocks, or you can do the changes, right? You can create your own title blocks according to the project, right? And you can share those title blocks to your different consultants, right? Now I can just provide that same drawing. So I can provide these same schedules by going for the dragging, like for like room schedules, like over here. I can place them and I can place my plans, right? As well as I can change the scales as per, or the how much part of the view will be reflected, how much part will be placed in the sheet. So I can actually change the extent of the view. Like this, right? So this is how you actually go for these different sheet creations, like we did over here with the title blocks, and we can provide the legends as well. So as per your requirement, you can develop your own title blocks and the spaces that you need for providing the revision clause and all, right? Okay. So this is how you actually go for the like detailed, like drawings, like detailed designs in Revit. So this is actually how you master those details. And so this is like a slightly like small project, but you can actually develop higher projects as well. Like even the like large scale projects like group housing or maybe metro projects, right? Infrastructure projects, right? So this is how you actually go for the mastering detailed design in Revit, right? So the last thing is that like you can actually go for the automations as well, right? So in the end, the Excel file will be submitted to the client, so you can actually directly uh, export the information from Revit to Excel, and it is actually live link. So we actually go for the Dynamo in this case, right? So in Dynamo is actually a visual programming tool which helps you in a computational design. So Revit is a parametric in which we provide parameters so that we can modify the BIM model according to the parameters, like material parameters, sizes, right? Now Dynamo actually helps in automations for that, like where computer language is actually involved. You are taking design decisions and computer language is actually involved over here. So that is why we are actually using the Dynamo for exporting the Revit information to Excel, right? So for that, we will be opening the Dynamo, and then you can see over here we have to run that script that is actually specifically uh, created for the purpose. Like, so if you want to go for any wall schedule, or maybe any column schedule, right? So if you want to just go for any schedules in directly to Excel, you can do that as well. So what type of, like, what information you want to provide in the Excel for the walls, you can do that. You can select those informations, and if you run the script, so your Excel will get open and all the information will be applied over here, right? So length, area, volume, and the name of the walls that you have used. Right? Similarly, if you add extra walls, or maybe update their length, anything, right? So it will be added to your Excel. So it is actually creating a live linking, right? So you can see over here, if we add extra walls, so you can see, like, the Excel file will also get updated, right? Now we can do the same thing over here with, like, from Excel to Revit. So if you have changes in the Excel you want to provide in Revit, so we can do vice versa as well. So for that, again, we will be like, if you want to provide the comment, so the parameter information should be same in the Excel, like the name of the parameter should be same, right? So you can see if we add comments as well, like over here, add more windows, change classes type. So these should be added to the Revit, right? So that is why for this purpose as well, like for exporting, like for live linking between Excel to Revit, so we use Dynamo as well, right? So you can see over here. So if we run the script, same like information is actually appearing in the Revit, right? So if you have any changes in Revit, it will be updated in the Excel and vice versa through Dynamo. So Dynamo is actually creating a link between Revit and Excel, as you can see over here, right? So for mastering the detailed design in Revit, you need automations as well. Okay. So this is for the today's session. Like, if you have any questions, you can provide down in the Q&A chat box. And if, like, right, so let's have a Q&A session. So okay, so one, like, Mr. Kevin had like provided the question. So you can download the families from, like, if you have installed the Revit, some by default families are there. But if you want to download other, like other families, many sites are available for that, like BIM objects, or maybe so different websites are available for develop for downloading these specific Revit sites. So you can actually download them from there, like Revit City, or maybe BIM objects, right? Right. Now, so there's another question, like, yes, so you can actually change the, like, if you have parameters, if you have provided the parameters, the sizes parameters for the title blocks, like length and width, so you can actually change the text, like title box size from A3 to A1, you can change it, right? uh you can do both ways, like you can create a separate sheet, or you can change the parameters from A1 to A3, so that can be done, right? So um right, so right, if you want to ask any other questions, you can go to the site, you can just email it over here, connect at the capricorn.com, right? So right, so this is from my side for today, right? So thank you everyone for attending this session. So I hope this session is like fruitful for you guys. So thank you everyone. So let's end this session here. Okay, thank you everyone, bye bye.